Hello, let's chat about The Scrlt Pimpernel by the Baroness Orczy, a 1905 novel based on a play of the same name that she co-wrote with her husband, but I believe these works are all hers on her own. Orczy was Hungarian born, moved to Britain when she was 14. British novelist, playwright, a painter of some sort, other things. So yes, this novel set during the Reign of Terror, the French Revolution, then the Reign of Terror, where all the revolutionaries were busy bloodily purging the aristocracy, the French aristocracy of the time. But in this fictional story, there is a daring British aristocrat who is going across the channel and to great risk is rescuing those poor innocent aristocrats. What did they ever do to the scum of the earth rabble who dare to question their authority? I'm sorry, that's a little bit of hint of how things might go on in this review. So actually, this story, because the Scrlt Pimpernel is it's kind of one of the first examples, not a first example, but maybe a great popularization of the idea of the secret double identity. You're one thing by day, you're another thing by night. Think definitely Batman when you're thinking about the Scrlt Pimpernel. This book is told from the point of view of Marguerite Blakeney, née Saint Just, who is a French actress who has married a what do you think? A dandy fop idiot Englishman, Sir Percy Blakeney, as her husband. And it was a big surprise because she seemed to be someone who was only interested in the great. She was a sympathizer of the revolutionaries. Indeed, she seemed to have revolutionaries as friends. She was only interested in people for their merit. So why would she take up with this dandy fop moron? Why would she take up with this guy? It's a mystery. She is actually estranged from him because on their wedding night, she confessed that she kind of unknowingly ratted out an aristocrat who had done her brother done him great harm, and that had led to him being seized by the revolutionaries and destined for the guillotine. And ever since that, the dandy fop idiot moron Sir Percy has been more dandy fop idiot moron, just kind of like completely distant from her. So this plot, the big kind of the thrust of this book involves her being blackmailed by a former French friend, now citizen Chauvelin, who is bent on capturing and killing the Scrlt Pimpernel. He has come across the pond to England hunting for the Pimpernel, and she gives him information because he's basically blackmailing her brother, who is like her best friend, especially now that her husband she's estranged from her husband. He is still in France and is very much he's a part of kind of the revolutionary movement there, but is in great danger if they perhaps found out that he was working with the Pimpernel. So he says, like, okay, I will make sure he is safe and he can get away if you give me if you help me unroot who the Pimpernel is. So reluctantly she does. And then the plot goes in because she suddenly realizes, oh shit, this is who the Pimpernel is, and has to rush across to France, and excitement and adventure and all that stuff ensue. This is the first in a series of these. She went on to do a lot more. I think maybe like 14 works, a couple of short stories and novels. And this obviously was a big success for her. So I mean, it is probably what she is, I think, would argue is what she is best known for now, if nothing else. So yeah, the things that surprised me, yeah, this is very much Marguerite's story. This is all from her point of view, which I guess helps with the kind of the Pimpernel. Who is the Pimpernel? He is a master of disguise. At the beginning of the book, it turns out he is he impersonates a plague victim, someone with the plague, and so people are like, oh, I don't want to get too near him, and thus is able to rescue those poor innocent aristocrats. What did they do? Whatever could they? Why ever would anyone ever want to harm them at all? You know, while Marguerite shows a lot of pluck, she also is super romantically devoted woman, and it's literally carried through the kind of the final bit of this book. So it's not exactly what you would call. It's more like, the wife is realized the error of her ways. It's definitely very traditional that way. And I mean, God, we'll get into the next thing. I mean, yeah. And I think the big significant thing of this is it's like, it's the hero pretending to be okay, we're gonna think of like Bruce Wayne being a foppish playboy. I wonder who that might connect to in this novel, I've only named three characters in. Who could the Pimpernel be? It's not Marguerite. I'll just give you a hint there. It's not Chauvelin. Chauvelin, I'll give you that. I'm probably saying that wrong. So it's what was I going to say? Yeah, it's very much got that kind of that idea of the kind of the secret identity, which is going to get born not too long after this. The way I'm familiar with the Scrlt Pmpernl first is through watching a long time ago the 1934 movie production of this, which was directed by Harold Young, starring Leslie Howard, Merle Oberon, and Canada's own Raymond Massey. Well, he went to the States and became a Republican, so fuck him. But yeah. So that's how I know it. There's also a 1982 version with some pretty hot Marguerite action going on there, if I do say so myself. But well, let's go back to the serious signet edition with the emblem that the Scrlt Pmpernl leaves in notes, taunting the French revolutionaries. Fuck democracy. Who the hell would it's gross. So I think the thing that I would like to point out in here, because I'm doing my 1901 project, which is reading works or history works sort of set around 1890 to 1910, is that this book really struck me with the Dreyfus Affair, which the bullet point is it was an international cause célèbre where a French officer who was Jewish was falsely accused and then falsely imprisoned, sent to Devil's Island for passing secrets to the Germans. He did not. It was somebody else. But the anti-Semitism of the time, and very much revolutions. You get the American Civil War that's gotten relitigated, I would say, multiple times over the course of that country's history. The French Revolution, the Dreyfus Affair is very much another symptom of that relitigation, that there's the royalists, kind of the military, very much like we do not want a merit-based system. We do not want these interlopers coming into our system. This is all really broad swaths, but this idea that the French Revolution was a bad thing and we should go back to the good old days. The good old days. The good old days, which somehow, are going to somehow coincide with the interests of people who are aristocratic or like that. And I think that this book, with aristocratic British hero fighting against those evil fuckers, which, look, evil, yes, Reign of Terror, not a good thing, but you can see that this is getting seized upon as a thing to say, aristocracy, these noble people who are just, ruling out of the goodness of their own heart, aren't viciously exploiting and starving and brutalizing the general population that for some reason was a little upset about that, and that maybe some of that got pumped into something like the Reign of Terror. I mean, the Reign of Terror also is the idea of ideology, and how extreme ideology on either side, you can end up with really nasty shit. But yes, Baroness Orczy was very much somebody who was on the aristocratic side. So going back to the French Revolution and casting her hero as an aristocrat who is battling against the evil revolutionaries is definitely something, against the poor, innocent aristocrat families, like, which, yes, women and children, but you were talking about a system that sucked up like all the wealth into the very pinnacle while people are all dying and starving and brutalizing. I mean, in the book, to be fair, she does point out that Marguerite's grudge is that her brother, probably kind of almost probably more middle class, had the telemetry to actually want to woo an aristocrat's daughter, who he then got thugs to go and beat the living snot out of the guy until he was, really, really messed up. I mean, you could make the argument in this book that Marguerite's she had learned that this aristocrat was trying to get foreign interests to kind of come in and overthrow the revolutionary government. You could kind of make the argument that she kind of had a point there, that that wasn't an evil thing, but within the lens of this book of aristocrats are obviously going to protect aristocrats, that is not the thing. That is not taken as an excuse. And she, of course, entirely repents for this. So it's interesting in kind of like an adventure book, a kind of fun adventure book, something that maybe influenced stuff like Batman and stuff like this. You also get kind of a very kind of arch conservative where it's like the aristocrats are the good guys. Hooray, the 1%. That kind of idea is something that's like, okay, it's interesting that slipped in there. Politics and everything, or just like history, place, time, it's all in that mix, and it makes for a richer, interesting reading. The writing in this book, Baroness Orczy, at least in this first volume, it's a little on the stiff side. But serviceable, and it's a fun plot. There is a whole thing of one of the what's another vile character that you could take on as a master of disguise. You could disguise yourself as and I'm putting this in quotations because they describe the figure that he transforms himself into as a dirty Jew. So, haha. The Dreyfus Affair, anti-Semitism. I mean, they make the point that, oh, well, the French are way more anti-Semitic than the English, but it's definitely we're definitely using that trope of a gross Jewish person that's like, oh, of course they're evil. They're of course they're only interested in money. They'd sell their children for a buck. That kind of gross anti-Semitic tropes. They're using that within this book. So that's the other thing that kind of twigged that. Oh yeah, the Dreyfus Affair is happening at the same time. So yes, further little enrichment of this period of 1890 to 1910, my 1901 project, which is anti-Semitism. It isn't a new thing, and it definitely was something that was very open and lining, unfortunately, a lot of the culture at the time. All right, I will leave it there. More videos later.